So normative science is the science what be, and the moral evolution of the ethics is from the ancient to till now. And ethics is the voluntary conduct guided rules, and normal human beings are affected by ethics. And everyone who living in society is guided by ethics, by following the social custom and the principle, and deciding what is right and wrong, and establishing the social standard. Then the execution of for from the ethical studies. So birds and animal are the ethical one, and people not living in society. So the untouched tribe, centenarians, and the children below 7 year, and the mental disturbed person, involuntary conduct and act performed under the pressure are not considered under the ethical studies. So branch of ethical studies. So metaethics. What is ethics itself is applied ethics and descriptive ethics and normative ethics. What should be done? Normative ethics have following subpart. The deontological ethics means the duty ethics. So duty for the duty sake by Immanuel Kant. So duty consciousness, formula for moral rules. So law of universality, law of considering man as the end, and law of autonomy, lawmaker of the kingdom of end. Then comes the human aspect of this deontology and Kant. So rational aspect and emotional aspect. Then postulate and assumption. These are the freedom of will and immortality of soul, and accident is God of there. Then come Bhagavad Gita also give the emphasis on deontological ethics. And intuitism. Intuitism means the Ralph Coworth, pure reason, and Saptburi and Hudson, moral sense and emotion and experience, and Butler, reason and emotion. Then Mahatma Gandhi gives the means and end. Teleological means consequence. So egoism, self-interest, hedonism, pleasure, and utilitarianism means utility. So Jeremy Bentham focus on the curd and gross hedonist means the quantitative quantitative this utilitarianism. So the quantitative difference in happiness theory of hedonistic calculus. So proximity, purity, certainty, fusidity, duration, extent, and intensity. Then comes the external sanctions. So external sanction are the natural sanction, social sanction, and political sanction, and religious sanction. And then comes the J.S. Mill qualitative utilitarianism, refined hedonist. So the qualitative, the internal sanction, observing others' pain, and on liberty, the book by the J.S. The this J.S. Mill. So liberty of thought and expression, and liberty of action. So self regarding absolute, and other regarding state interference. Then comes this criticism of utilitarianism. It is happiness is subjective. Thinking about happiness doesn't protect minority interest. Act under presence of ethical, not ethical, and happiness cannot be measured, and quality of happiness not expanded by the this utilitarianism theory. And evolutionism means Herbert Sapir gave the hedonistic evolution. So the moral rules evolve based on need, type of morality. So relative morality at low state, and absolute morality at the future state. And the don't criticize the past. And a person has egoism and altruism, and support individual liberty, not obstruction, and resource distribution based on merit, the protect the weaker. Then the Lefsi Septon. So he said the organic relation individual society, and sacrifice individual for society, and criticize absolute morality. Then the similar Alexander. So the morality evolving continuously, and more rational rules exist, and some individual ahead of society. And the perfectionism. So Hegel gives the theory of perfectionism, the dialectical process as the perfectionism. Then come the virtue ethics. Virtue ethics by Socrates and Plato. And Socrates said the virtue is knowledge, and unite knowledge and action. Mental happiness is greater than physical happiness, and dialectic method and principle of unity of virtue. Then the Plato give emphasis the discipline of Socrates and make a academy and book are Republic and Philebus and Theory of Justice. So four cardinal virtue: wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. Justice is most important, and theory of justice balance between all the three. The four cardinal virtue: wisdom, courage, and temperance balance make the justice. Then comes the existentialism Kierkegaard. So Soren Kierkegaard three stages of life. Three stages of life are aesthetic stage, ethical stage, and religious stage. And then comes the Jean Paul Sartre. So Jean Paul Sartre, individual thinker and extant precedence in sense and reject existence of God. Then comes the feminist ethics, black ethics, and food and ethics. They are also come in the law. In the so important value of investigative officer. So important values are empathy, courage, objectivity, integrity, honesty, transparency, leadership qualities, accountability, selflessness, tolerance, liberalism, constitutional value, dutifulness, democratic value, impartiality, dedication to public service, justice, wisdom, and non-partisanship. These and then comes the value inculcation. So role of family. So the importance, method, role of family. So obstructional learning, reward and punishment, custom, ritual, and festival, and teaching through stories and instruction like panchatantra and social influence, relative and family. And the problems of this so learning negative values, superstition, gender discrimination by family, and blind obedience, and weakening institution of family, and reduce real contact due to technology, and difference between practice and preaching, and difference value taught by member contradictory. Then the role of society. So importance, contact increase after 8-10 year. So method are the observational learning, professional and office and media and local communities, social, religious and political organization, and social gatherings. So the problems in the social is the learning negative value, discrimination, communalism, and extremism, and reduce real contact due to technology, and difference between practice and preaching by leader, and different value taught by groups contradictory. Then comes the role of the educational institute. So importance, formal start, removing negative, developing new methods. So methods are curriculum, extracurricular activities, sports, cultural activity, house, and educational tool, dg board and chart, educational tours, debates, discussion, and reward and punishment, and creation of student group. Then comes this problem. So problem of this school is the education not allowed at all, and low quality education, and education is the main source of the income, and the commodification of education is there. Then comes the Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita, religious text, secular thinking, an essence of Veda and Upanishad, part of Parthantraya, three pillar of Indian culture, relative in all sphere, 700 and 18 chapters, and help resolve moral dilemma, and teacher still relevant. Kaurva, evil, and Pandava are good. Key concept of the Gita. So, Karma Yoga, the action, Jnana Yoga, the knowledge, the Bhakti Yoga, the devotion, and Niskam Karma, the desireless action. So, desireless action, action for duty, not fruit, duty for duty sake, and the law of karma, not application, and no sakam karma, and it is equivalent to the Kant, the Kant. So then the samatva, the equanimity, and the stithpagya, the fast food balance and yoga kamashu kosalam skill in action rejects inactivity relationship with the deontological ethics. So focus on duty and flexible and rigid and Kant. Morality is mean, good is end, and accept law of karma. Then comes the Mahatma Gandhi. So Mahatma Gandhi चला दिया. So controversial finger, young in India and Horizon is published, and the truth, the satya, the non-violence, and then mean and both are pure. And the economic idea, the of rural economy, the criticism, capitalism, and industrialization. And the seven sins of Gandhi are the commerce without morality, and knowledge without character, and uh, the pleasure without conscience, and science without humanity, and politics without principle, and prayer without sacrifice, and wealth without work. Then comes the 11 words of the Gandhi. In the 11 words of the Gandhi, so Satya, Ahimsa, Atsaya, aparigraha, and prana brahmacharya, and physical labor, removal of untouchability, sarva dharma sadbhava, tastelessness, fearlessness, and the swadeshi. So palate, tastelessness in palate. Then comes the Rabindranath Tagore. So Gurudev, new Vedantic thinker influenced by Brahma Samaj, express idea through art. Key ideas are, so humanification of God, spiritual humanism. So human is superior due to spiritual and creative power. Then comes the human aspect of Tagore. So a finite aspect biological, and infinite aspect spiritual and creative. Then comes the mysticism. So human nature, society, natural event as divine expression, and accept good and evil in society. Then come idea on education, internationalism, oppose nationalism, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and egalitarian society free from discrimination. Then come the Swami Vivekananda. So focus on youth, neo Vedanta thinker, and influenced by Brahma Samaj, Vedas and Upanishad and Gita. Teacher Ramakrishna Paramahansa, and Brahma is foundational conscience, doesn't reject materialism, and service to humanity and service to God, and practice is important than morality. Awakening self confidence of India, Chicago Conference 1893 explains Sanatana Dharma as a universal and value developed according to societal need, and learn science materialism from whence and strength is life, weakness is death. Then comes the B.R. Ambedkar. So the work to uplift the deprived dimension of caste. So economic dimension weakening and the social dimension still becoming strong. Common and 13 book or Hinduism post by exam, and the advice giving up to traditional professional, and education is must, and end of discrimination, intercaste marriage and dining. Arvindo. So the integral humanism and evolution of consciousness. So anamaya kosha physical, anamya kosha, pranamya kosha vital, and manomaya kosha mental. Then the process of supermind. So Atmika element negative emotion. Spirituality attain knowledge, peace, and stability. Supermind self knowledge element defense. Then comes the collective liberation and internal yoga by the Arvindo. So necessary of collective liberation induce include various yoga forms and physical, mental, biological transformation. Then comes this Indian ethical concept. So what is the Indian ethical concept? The Rat, the cosmic order. So Rith, the cosmic order, the natural order, the moral order, the cosmic order. Then comes the what is the Rith? So dharma and duty, righteousness, karma in action, purusharth, objective of the human life. So four purusharth, dharma, earth, the wealth and prosperity, karma, desire, and moksha, liberation.
Then comes the ashram stage of life. So brahmacharya, student, grahastra, household, and vanaprastha, retirement, and sannyas for renunciation. Then comes the sanskara, rite of the passage. So 16 sanskara. Then come the train, so three depths, so three rin. So Pitrin, parents and ancestors, Rishirin in teachers, and Devrin, depth to God. Then comes the three types of suffering. If they have not paid, then Adhyatmic Dukh, then Abhi Bhautik Dukh, and Adhi Devik Dukh. So these are the Dukh. So then comes the committee, no, ethics in public and private relationship. So ethics as a code of conduct. Public life rules, law and formal, private life moral principle and informal interaction between public and private ethics, and code of ethics and code of conduct. So code of ethics internal and guiding, and code of conduct is external rules and enforceable, and scope broad and specific, and enforcement not legal, legally size small versus large. Then comes the committee on civil servant. Lee Commission, Nota Commission, and the AD Gorwala Committee, Santanam Committee, first and second ARC, and Nolan Committee give 7 values. Then comes the Nolan Committee, foundational values for civil servants. So IS hollow, integrity, accountability, and selflessness, honesty, openness, objectivity, and transparency. The objectivity, what is free from prejudice, merit based appointment and benefit. Then comes the moral political attitude of administrator. So political attitude, so radicalism and not satisfy justify violence, and liberalism continuous improvement and non-violence, moderate small change within system, and conservative preserve cultural, and reactionist old system and justify violence. So radicalism, liberalism, and moderatism, and conservatism, and reactionism. Then comes the dictator. Reactionism, so determinants of political attitude. So the economic factor, age, family, religion, education, and media. Then comes the ethical concern and dilemma in administration. So ethical concern, what are the situation where moral principle is violated or will be violated. Major concern in administration is the Cornelian structure of administration established by British for Cornelian interest based on the Weber bureaucratic model, hurdle in public welfare, lack of transparency, hierarchy create team spirit problem, lack of public participants, very many large scale centralization, emphasis on rules, power, ignored public sensitivity, lack of public contact, elitism. Then comes the politicization of civil service. So loss of political neutrality, so lack of ethical standards, use of discretionary power, lack of accountability, and corruption. Then comes the ethical dilemma. So situation with two or more conflicting ethical values. So type of dilemmas are the personal cost dilemma, personal cost versus ethical choice, right versus right dilemma, two conflict right, and conjoint dilemma, both personal versus right. Then comes the frequently encountered dilemma relationship. So civil service versus police office holder and political office holder, and civil servant versus citizen, and inter civil service. And the dilemmas for civil service are the development and environmental, and transparency and secrecy, personal and public, and interpersonal of the policies, interpretation of the government policy, obeying the orders of senior, disagreement with political ideology, contradiction between personal value and administrative responsibility. Then comes the resolving ethical dilemma. So democratic accountability of administration. If politician asked to do something illegal, inform, get right in order. Clear public policy, border interest giving priority, cost benefit analysis, and ethical guidance from parents, teacher, and friend, and conscience. Then comes this corruption. So the misuse of power for personal interest, type of corruption are on the basis of sector. So the political corruption, administrative, media, and military and private sector, and on the basis of nature. So collusive corruption, private sector plus civil servant, but coercive may demand for bribe. Then comes the cause of the corruption is administrative cause. So the complex process, discriminating power, lack of accountability, not following the code of ethics. Then comes the legal cause of corruption, lack of laws, non-implementation of laws, complex legal processes, and weak protection of whistleblower. Then comes the social cause of corruption, low moral value, societal acceptance, and materialistic culture. Then comes the economic cause, so low salary, license raj, and lack of opportunity. Then the political cause, the protection of corruption by politicians and crony capitalism and money and muscle power, and the corruption by MLA itself, like 2 crore bribe by the BAP MLA. Then comes the personal cause, so ambition and physiology and low mortality. So then the solution for corruption, so administrative solution are simple process, e-governance, RTI, encourage honesty, select officer with high moral standard and training of moral values, and follow code of conduct and ethics, implement committee recommendation, ARC. Then comes the legal solution. So implement anti-corruption and Bemani Prohibity Act, simple and fast legal process, special court and protection with whistleblower. And the social solution. So increase standard of morality, social pressure against corruption, and social prestige of honesty and civil servant. And the economic solution. So increase salary, remove salary disparity, create economic opportunity, reduce government interference in economy. Then the political solution, so political awareness against corruption, make corruption a political issue, corrupt person should be banned from politics. So then this comes the ethical decision making. So it is cognitive process, evaluating and choice alternative and consistent with principle, rules and virtue, and review option, eliminate unethical and choose best requirement. So recommend commitment, desire to act ethically, and consequence, concert outcome, and competency, skill for ethical behavior. And framework approach are the utilitarian approach, greatest happiness for greatest number, right approach, protect right, not violate, and justice approach, impartial and just, and approach of universal good, welfare of part, virtue approach according to virtues. Then come the social justice. So concept become unpopular in 19th century post-industrial revolution, necessary to remove negative impact, inequality and exploitation. Five main principle of socialism is access to resource, education, health and food, equity, just and fair distribution, special attention to deprived, and human right to live with dignity, participation in social decision making and representation, and diversity, respect diverse group and non-discrimination. Then objective of the social, create a egalitarian society. So then we come to this end of our ethics chapter. So this is the crux, and then we can say the sar of ethics. So